Hello, Old School Gamer 1971 here. Greetings one and all, especially to you, Millie and Lloyd. Today my third hour thoughts is on Black Mirror. I've been playing this game for around 3 hours, and this is what I think. Black Mirror by King Art Games. It's a survival horror game and came to the PlayStation 4 in 2017. So Black Mirror. It is a reboot of the original game, The Black Mirror, which was a trilogy for PC. With new locations, new characters and new gameplay, the original was a point and click adventure. It seems very far away from what the original franchise was. So King Art Games. It is a German developer. They started working on PC games and have also developed for consoles since the PlayStation 3. With titles such as The Book of Unwritten Tales, Dwarfs and The Raven Legacy of the Master Thief. Whilst I have not spent much time on these games, after playing this I will do so. So let's get into what the game is about. You play as David, who is investigating his father's suspicious death at his ancestral home in Scotland. It's a castle that I will not even attempt to pronounce the name of. You must complete puzzles and ask questions of the residents. At the end of the first act you find out your father could see ghosts, and by the looks of things you share that power too. So you must go further into the rabbit hole of the occult to solve your father's apparent suicide. I like me some mystery. So is it Black Mirror, a Hammer House classic? Or is it Black Mirror, pure trauma trash? The game starts with you running across a field. You feel closed in, the voices all around you. Even better with headphones. You cannot see someone, but you know someone is chasing you. Then it's over to you. This is a cool opening, except the opening isn't over. You actually get to play part of the intro. This is quite fresh and really adds to the atmosphere. It feels like it may be in your head. You have a doll in your hands. You hide it with rocks so whoever is chasing you can't have it. All the time you are apologising to your son. You are still running away from what appears to be an invisible assailant. Between the voices, the heartbeat, the music and graphical style, the atmosphere is pretty good for this intro. A ghost appears and you touch her face. You then step into a stone circle with an altar and cut yourself and drip blood onto the altar. Then he says something in Gaelic. After you shout out that they won't get you, you smash the oil burning lamp you have been carrying over your head, setting yourself ablaze. You collapse to the ground, whispering to your son to be safe with your dying words. This is an amazing opening. To play it makes you feel a bigger part of the story. So how does it perform graphically? Okay, I will say pretty good once I realised you could switch off Grainovision. You have to remember that this is a bit of an indie title. I will say that at full price it was a little expensive upon its release. I managed to get it in a sale and was pleased with a £10 price tag. The castle is gothic in style, inside and out. I will have to admit the animation on the characters isn't great. Movement, not the faces. The lighting is also not the best, but it does its job. However, the characters do look pretty damn good in their faces. They're also quite animated in their facial features. And that castle, man, it looks spooky as hell. With the night time it feels that you have to cut the darkness. And during the day, it feels like the darkness is creeping into the corners, just waiting for night to fall. It does remind me of classical horror movies that I used to watch as a child. Every Friday night a double bill on TV. A lot of the tropes are here. Even the castle is in disrepair. For me, it's some of the nice little touches, such as the clothes moving, like his tie, Being honest, the graphics grew on me, especially once I realised that I could switch the grain off, and then I turned it straight back on again, because I realised it was done on purpose, and it took me back to TVs we had when I was a child. Well, once we got a coloured TV anyway. And so we move on to sound. Saying it is good is a real understatement. This game is better played with headphones, whether it's the voices on the wind, or it feels like it's in your head sometimes, or the creaks and moans of the castle as you move around. Or the voiceover for the characters is pretty good also. No one's voice really feels out of place, or even the footsteps on the floor sound about right. For me, it's the ambient sound that really adds to the atmosphere. Yet the sounds are just like a classic horror, so snaps for that. This all adds to that atmosphere. It's not exactly scary, but it is creepy. This is what the game needed, as it isn't at all action based, and is testament to the developers for achieving this.
If you don't mind, I have a system and don't want to mix things up. Lady Gordon is very keen on confidentiality.
Of course. Hiding something, are we?
All good so far, right? How about the gameplay? Being honest, this is the game's weak spot. The whole control system doesn't feel natural, even after 3 hours. The movement is too fast, it's as if you're speed skating on ice. It does slightly take you out of the atmosphere. Fortunately, it didn't kill it stone dead for me. The puzzles are good, not overly complicated, but not dead easy neither. The puzzles are very controllable. The camera can be a problem too. A couple of times I found myself trapped off screen. Fortunately, it is possible to find your way out. This either should have stayed as a point and click adventure, or a bit more time should have been spent tightening those controls. As well, the load times are bad, mainly because you have to load every time you change room. It is a pity, as I feel it would have been better received with a bit more time spent on the game. In the main game, you play as David Gordon. He has come back from his home in the British Raj after his father, John Gordon, committed suicide. The person in the intro. John was an occult enthusiast and had sent letters and a package to his son in the weeks leading up to his death. After arriving, David decides to start his own investigation when things aren't adding up and your father's death has still not been solved. With a varied cast right out of a classic horror, the old creepy grandma, a butler that seems to be hiding something, a maid that seems to be scared out of her wits, a gardener that is half blind, and a lawyer who seems to be buried in his work. And whilst this is not fresh horror movie tropes, it's really good to see them used in a game, and to see it used so respectfully by the game developer. So yet again, the game delivers. So when your mystery's strong point is atmosphere, in my opinion, this works quite well. It does feel like a classic horror. Between the graphics, sound and the pretty intriguing story, I really like that story. The fact you play the intro and the first act is set at night, it really sets the mood in the right way. It builds up the atmosphere quite nicely. Headphones are the way to go with this game. The sound plays a big part in the atmosphere. The story draws you in by not revealing too much at once. As a lover of classic horror, It was really good that they got this right, and for me it needs to be strong to keep me interested. You will spend a good while looking around the castle. After the negatives of gameplay, it does really well to keep its atmosphere alive. So after 3 hours, what did I think? So ultimately, did it hold my interest? Hell yeah. It's not many times that you see a game that takes you by surprise, but this most definitely did. It's not perfect by any means, but it dared to do something different. If you can get over the gameplay issues and the load times, there is a really good game hidden underneath. A story that interests, that doesn't feel like it's insulting my intelligence. As well, it's been a while since a horror game was set in a castle. It is good to see developers taking a chance with something outside the box. I hope I have a little spare time this year to finish this up. Happily, I can tell you that it did work, for me at least. It's hardly a AAA game. At the same time, the graphics look good enough, and thanks to the amazing sound and atmosphere, I would say that the game is a success, and certainly hope for a sequel someday. If you are a fan of classic horror, I would suggest that you look into this game. So Hammer House Classic it is. By the way, I like trashy movies, and I do like Troma, so win-win. And for the younger viewers, Hammer used to make classic horror movies. So that about wraps it up. Hope you all have a good day. If this has been helpful in any way, like, comment, share and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow and makes an old man happy. I post new videos every week. Let me know what you think down below. Old School Gamer 1971 signing off.